to introduce you to Matthew and Kathy Slater. Matthew has a Certificate 2 and 4 in Multimedia Studies and is currently doing a writing course at TAFE. Matt loves 1960s and 70s music, The Who, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd and Eric Clapton. Matt will share his story of growing up in a tiny rural town in Victoria and how he moved into his own place. And Mum will tell how she came to terms with Matt moving out of home.
Hi, Cam's just introduced Matt and Kathy, and Matt and Kathy are going to show a DVD, so Paul will put that on now. Thanks, Matt and Kathy.
Hi, my name's Kathy. I'm Matt's mum. This transition of Matt moving into a home of his own has been a little bit scary, I have to say, but the outcome has been totally amazing and exciting and well worth every bit of effort we've put in. It's been quite a long road, needn't have been probably if we'd come across the right people at the right time, but that's the nature of having somebody with a disability in the family. There's no one place to go to get all the answers and get all the options. It's all just word of mouth and asking a lot of questions of a lot of people. But really, we should start at the beginning. Matthew's always been quite a remarkable person. He's had a great philosophy on life and a great sense of humour, and without wanting to take anything away from his innate nature, I'm sure partly it's due to having a large, accepting and loving family and always being well received and supported at mainstream school. One day we were on our way back from an outing. I'll never forget the day. Matthew just turned to me and said that he thought it was about time that we thought about him moving out of home. I remember the impact this had on me. I remember thinking, you know, you poor darling, you know, this is obviously the time that one would start to think about moving out of home. You're of that age. But how could we ever make it possible? What I said to him was, okay, let's look at the possibilities. I was terrified really at the prospects, you know, should it ever come to fruition. I was the only person that I felt that knew Matt's every need, every comfort. Who could possibly provide that for him? I imagined that he wouldn't be understood, that he'd be at people's mercy, that he'd be vulnerable, that he'd have to learn to suffer in silence. So you can see I was feeling quite defeated, I guess, from the outset, but Matthew wasn't going to let it go. He knew that he wanted to move our home, so our journey began. And it was well worth going for. There were going to be three big winners if we could make this happen. Foremost, of course, you know, Matthew would achieve his dream of independence. Secondly, my husband and I and Matt's sister Abby would be able to enjoy perhaps more spontaneous lives. And thirdly, and probably most particularly, our concerns for Matthew's future without us might be addressed. It might be a future secured. It all evolved quite slowly at first. We first considered a granny flat in the backyard. It seemed like a good first option, but giving it greater thought, we realised that it really wasn't going to be of enough real value to Matthew. So secondly, we purchased a cottage down the road, but as we live in a tiny little village, again, Matthew's life options weren't going to be increased that much more than he was enjoying now. So given a little time, a little thought, we abandoned that idea as well. And yes, Wodonga did seem like a long way away, for me at least, and I felt that it would be better to start with something much closer to home. And of course he has lots of support and friends around this area, so that's where we began. So then started the months of phone calls. We knew that group housing wasn't going to be appropriate for Matt because he didn't need supervision, he just needed physical support. And we've now identified that heading into a larger town was going to be the better option for him. It's interesting, it's almost like by exploring the other two much closer to home options, we were sort of gradually weaning ourselves away from him and let him go, so to speak. We considered perhaps building 3 or 4 purpose-built units in Wangaratta, our closest local city, in which the support costs could be shared between tenants. I couldn't imagine how Matthew's support could be funded any other way at the time. We actually got to the point where we could have got the buildings funded through another agency's involvement, but all that it required was other tenants, prospective tenants, to put up their hands for it and commit to it. We made inquiries, and unfortunately this is where it fell in a heap again. We found that prospective tenants, and indeed ourselves, were a little choosy about who they were willing to live side by side with. And as Matthew had said, if this was the only option, that was going to be okay with him, but really he just wanted a regular house in a regular street and really not to be defined by his disability at all. So there was another idea abandoned after much effort and time. So it was back to the phone, more dead ends, until we finally came across the name of Deb Roget of the PLA. I rang, we talked, and I became very inspired and very much reheartened. I attended a series of workshops that the PLA had organised, and I heard stories of people like Matt and some with even much greater support needs living quite successfully in a home of their own out there in the community. Their support was sometimes funded by agencies, sometimes it was voluntary, a mixture of both. Some of it was provided by a housemate arrangement. I learnt about safety nets like circles of support. I learned about the importance of valued roles, about the rights of individuals. The workshops were totally invaluable, and I could highly recommend them to anybody or families who are looking to explore something different for their family member. So there lay our new direction, and there was my new vigour and my new determination. I was so inspired that I immediately rang around all the real estate agents, telling them what we were looking for, a wheelchair accessible home in a good location. And in about 6 months' time, something came up which ticked all the boxes. We showed it to Matt, and it was a resounding, "I'll take it." It was very exciting. All the time we'd been having conversations with Deb from the PLA and our very enthusiastic and progressive thinking case manager. Together we drew up a document around Matthew's vision for his future and a proposal to put to DHS around his need for funding to support his move into his own home. So Matthew furnished his new home and we equipped it with necessary bits and pieces that would be required, an automated door and an accessible phone. In the first place, we had very little funding to play with. We had a little bit from a package that we had with Community Support North East and another little bit with Department of Human Services. But we utilised it fairly creatively, I think, for what we saw as a trial period over a few months. The family moved into Matt's home for half the week and we purchased support for meal times only, allowing Matthew that space between meals to do what he does in his own home. It gave us the opportunity to either go to work or we'd just make ourselves very scarce for the day, and of course we'd provide the overnight care. The rest of the week we returned to our home in El Dorado. We'd still toyed with the idea of a housemate arrangement so that his overnight care might be provided by a housemate. But Matthew stated quite emphatically after a period of time of having a home of his own that he really wanted to just enjoy this on his own. So in time and reducing our involvement as we could, we approached DHS with the evidence of how well Matt was doing on his own and armed with the proposal and Matt's vision for his future. We identified what funding we'd need for Matthew to be supported in his independent living full time, and we got it. We were very excited and we got it. And now he has ongoing funding and support for all his personal care so that he can just live the life of his dreams independently.
I will really
Matt's support workers come from a company called Country Care, and they've been invaluable in the whole process. They've been so caring and flexible and diligent that we really can't find fault with them. We had considered originally of self-administrating the funds in the hope of making the dollar go further by employing our own workers and all that goes with that. But Country Care have just made it so easy and so uncomplicated. We figure they're totally worth the cost. They find prospective workers for us. Matthew interviews them. He makes a selection and all is arranged. They even include the training at no extra cost to Matt. Matthew has support for an hour to an hour and a half over meal times, and there's always somebody to do a sleepover. They have been a totally wonderful, fantastic team of people. They've really actually become much more than just workers. Matthew's been invited to one of their weddings and he's very, very warmly thought of, which is evidenced, I guess, by their out-of-hours drop-ins. And yes, I'd have to admit I was terrified when he fully embraced his independent living. I remember the early days, really quite funny now, where I used to follow him at a distance, unseen, hiding behind trees and fences, just to monitor his safety as he crossed roads, etc. In the end, I just had to give myself a good talking to and tell myself that really, get over it. He's not stupid, this is what he wants, and I really can't be around every moment of his life. The first very significant moment happened for us when, in Matt's first fortnight of being full-time independent, he rang to apologise that he wouldn't be seeing us this weekend. He'd made other arrangements. I can't tell you how proud and moved I was by that phone call. He had, independent of any assistance, rung a friend, made an arrangement to meet, and he wouldn't be seeing us that weekend. Wow. And of course now Matt does almost everything for himself without any assistance from anybody. He shops, he banks, he develops new relationships, he makes all his own arrangements. And the community, I'd have to say, has been fantastic as well. They've been really respectful and supportive. There's always somebody to step in when he needs a hand.
I am you. Oh, you. You. I. You. Hallelujah. To you.
Hello, how are ya? That one?
Yeah.
Is that alright there?
Yeah.
In the bag?
Yeah.
No worries. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Have a good day.
Yeah.
No worries.
I'll get this out for you and I'll fix it all up for you. 16.25.
No worries.
There you go, Matt. Just put them in there for you.
There you
There you
go.
go.
See you later.
Enjoy your afternoon.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Studio? That one? You want that one?
How
There. $48. So normally $149, they're $48 now. So just on special for the moment.
Yeah,
Okay, front mate.
thank you.
No problem. $48, mate. In your wallet, sure.
Thank you. Alright,
$2 just in there, fine.
yeah,
There you go, mate.
alright,
Yep. Just in the back.
thank you.
There you go, mate. You have a good day.
Thank you.
How you going?
much are we getting out today?
50.
50? Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whatever you got. That's fine.
We have got them, don't worry.
All right, I've got your card. I'll come
I
back.
still go with the shopping. Don't
But
last
you've
long.
got to spend it, don't you?
Do you want a $50 note? Yep. Yep. All right. We're going to get it right, aren't we?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Not a problem. Okay, in there.
Yeah.
Going out partying this weekend?
No.
No.
There you go, dude.
Thank you.
All right, see ya.
Here, mate.
Thank you. This is the enormous violence I've seen against and highly recommend individually to anyone is ability in prayer of filming this movie. I am young enough that everybody you possible. I would be that you the possibility and you cried whatever you however you is whatever your abilities are. And that you learn that people are willing to come to the right and help and every is right and at least a bit about what I would love to I am good with every but there you go. Me
We are incredibly proud of Matt. He's got this wonderful can-do attitude and has become very creative in how to achieve outcomes. And whilst we get anxious from time to time, and there's always issues that come up like equipment failure or ill health that we can help with, Matt's proven to us that he's really very capable of looking after himself. And now, of course, we feel quite confident that his future is going to be positive and fulfilling. It's a very happy place to be for all of us.
I love you. I love